Good morning, everyone. Once again, later on this morning, we'll be recording the service for Sunday, and encourage you to join with us on Sunday as we worship God together but separately, and take time to be part of that. And if you can, join us at 11 and join with others doing the same thing at 11. It does give that sense of fellowship and of togetherness, even when we're not physically there. This morning we're reading this last part of this long Psalm 18, and I'm going to overlap slightly from yesterday, so I'm going to read from verse 31 to the end. For who is God but the Lord? And who is a rock except our God? The God who equipped me with strength and made my way blameless. He made my feet like the feet of a deer and set me secure on the heights. He trains my hands for war so that my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You have given me the shield of your salvation, and your right hand supported me, and your gentleness made me great. You gave a wide place for my steps under me, and my feet did not slip. I pursued my enemies and overtook them, and did not turn back till they were consumed. I thrust them through so that they were not able to rise. They fell under my feet. For you equipped me with strength for the battle. You made those who rise against me sink under me. You made my enemies turn their backs to me, and those who hated me I destroyed. They cried for help, but there was none to save. They cried to the Lord, but he did not answer them. I beat them fine as dust before the wind. I cast them out like the mire of the streets. You delivered me from strife with the people. You made me the head of the nations. People whom I had not known served me. As soon as they heard of me, they obeyed me. Foreigners came cringing to me. Foreigners lost heart and came trembling out of their fortresses. The Lord lives, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be the God of my salvation. The God who gave me vengeance and subdued peoples under me, who delivered me from my enemies. Yes, you exalted me above those who rose against me. You rescued me from the man of violence. For this I will praise you, O Lord, among the nations, and sing to your name. Great salvation he brings to his king, and shows steadfast love to his anointed, to David and his offspring forever. There's a lot of war language in that last part of the psalm. A lot of violent language, talk about thrusting people through and so on. And it's language that we're not all that comfortable with. It's part of that Old Testament language that we kind of in our modern 21st century way of thinking, we sort of draw back a little bit from that and think, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that whole warrior language, as David talks about the victories that God has given him over his enemies. And of course this psalm, we're told in the title at the top, is about when God rescued David from all of his enemies. And we know that David is a warrior king. We know that against the Philistines, against so many others, and against rebellions among his own people as well. He's a warrior king to such an extent that when he suggests building a temple for God, the reality is that there is too much blood on his hands for him to be the one to build the temple. It will be his son, Solomon, the King of Peace, who builds the temple. And yet it is clear in the psalm that he attributes his victories to the Lord who gave him strength. Never his own skill or might or strategic thinking or planning, but God who gave him strength, God who gave him victory over his enemies. And what's interesting is right in the middle of all this language of war and bloodshed that kind of makes us take a step back, right in the middle of it, there are these words: your gentleness made me great. Even David, the warrior king, recognizes that it's not the power that God gives or the strength that God gives or the defeats that God brings into David's hands, the defeats of his enemies that he brings into his hands. It's not that gives him greatness. It's God's gentle, steadfast love towards him. It's the gentleness of God in dealing with David. It's God's salvation. It's God's right hand helping and supporting him. It's that intimate relationship, not the giving of victory, that makes David great. And God's gentleness is what is evident in Christ. God's meekness, God's humility in coming into the world in Jesus, in dying a criminal's death, giving his life, not having his life taken, giving his life for us. And it is that humility, that gentleness, that grace that brings about the defeat of the enemy. It is this God, Jesus, who is the God who lives forever. The last few verses of the Psalm 46 to 50 describe this God, and it's so clear to me as you read these Psalms. You can apply them so directly to Jesus. It's this God who lives. Death did not have the final word for him. And so it's this God, Jesus, who saves, who subdues the enemy through his death and resurrection. It is this God who delivers us and will deliver us again and again and again. It's this God who exalts us and takes us to the very throne room of heaven so that we can dwell in his presence. It's this God who rescues us and who we can trust because of his steadfast covenant love. So today, trust this God who has loved you, who has saved you, who has done amazing things for you, and then live for him. Sing his praise as David told us to do. For this I will praise you, O Lord, among the nations, and sing to your name. Sing the glory of his name and what he's done for you. Bless his name through what you do and how you live and how you are towards others. And know his grace, his mercy, and his gentleness, making you the person that he wants you to be. Take care today. God bless.